peace of God. Like, that's what I need. The peace of God that passes all understanding. Guard your heart and mind. I remember sitting there that whole morning, just pouring over. Now, I was getting ready to leave to go down to Trinity High School to have lunch with the students. That's back when I was a student pastor. And I went down to that last verse, that verse number 8. It says, but finally, think on these things. So I get in my car and I'm driving. I thought, man, what have I just spent the last several days thinking about? And I drive in and I'm sitting down and we're at a table with a bunch of the students sitting around, and one of them said, so what you been doing today? I said, I've just been chewing on a verse of Scripture all morning. What is it? And I told them, and it sparked a conversation. And we sat there and started talking, and I remember this one young lady, she said, man, I've been having a lot of anxiety lately. I said, hey, this is your verse. I can share it with you. And so I remembered all the way back, because every time I see Philippians chapter 4, I'm reminded of that day. That it was, though I had read it probably other times in my life, that day it became really that compass for truth that fix my mind, fix my thoughts on the things that are true and right and noble. See, here's the thing. I think it's so vital that not only are we thinking about good thoughts, and I think they have to be biblical, but man, we've got to think about those God thoughts. Because, man, if you want the enemy to steal your dreams, all we've got to do is to basically do nothing, and he'll be successful. But if you want to see God and what he has in store for your life, man, we have to discipline ourselves. I'm telling you, daydreaming, I think dreaming's wonderful, having a dream for a purpose. But when we daydream and just let our mind just be idle, and we're all over the place, man, what happens is, man, our minds go there. I discovered something about a year ago that every time I'd get on my lawnmower and start mowing the grass, I would start thinking about a brother. And it was always negative. That every time I'm mowing the yard, I'd start thinking, and none of this had that guy ever done in my life. But I was thinking it. I could hear him saying these things. I could hear and envision him doing these things. It was like week after week after week. You say, how did you overcome it? Oh, did you quote that? No. I hired somebody to start mowing my yard. I really did. For other reasons. But I'm telling you, but it's bizarre. I'm talking every single time. And I thought about it. Why is that? I hear these people making statements all the time that I love my spouse, but I'm just not in love with them anymore. Believe that if we're gonna walk in moral victory, if we're gonna walk in biblical victory, if we're gonna live our lives in alignment with God and fulfill the assignment of God, man, we've got to start thinking God's thoughts. And because here's the deal: how does God see us? God made us. God has sustained us. God's the one that breathed life into us. God's the one that has literally put a calling in our lives. So what is it that God's thinking about us, and what are we thinking about ourselves? Here's the third thing, and I close, is I think we need to think on grateful thoughts. Think about grateful thoughts. What is it that you're grateful for? What are we grateful for? I was with my friend that actually had left his memorial on my desk, just with him at lunch 2 weeks ago. And he asked me, he says, hey, Brother Darrell, how are you doing? Sometimes people ask that question, and it's just more of an opener. They really don't want to know how you're doing. Other times they're asking because they really want to know how you're doing. And I got to thinking about, so how am I really doing? I'm glad I didn't just open up my mouth and just give an answer, because I'm bad about doing that. But before I answered, I'm thinking, how am I doing based on what? How am I doing based on my confidence that I have in God? How am I doing in comparison to what I know is going on in your life? Hey, if my whole world was crashing, would it compare to the trial?